Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to be talking to Lucy, who is the co-founder and executive director of Hackergal. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited for everyone to hear more about what Hackergal is and what you do. Rather than me explaining it, I'll let you explain a bit about Hackergal and what you guys do.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Tiff. I'm really excited to be here today. So Hackergal is a charity. We work with schools and educators across Canada to promote computer science education for young girls, specifically girls in grades 6 to 9. The goal of Hackergal is to really empower and inspire young girls to be curious about computer science and to explore opportunities in STEM.
I love that. It's when I first heard, so I used to work in a co-working space close to Lucy, and when I first heard what Hackergal was doing and went on your website and looked up, I thought this is incredible because there isn't very much out there, if at all, as to what you're doing. And when we had a coffee and kind of got to chat more, I found it was really interesting, your story as to how you founded Hackergal and how you got started with that. Navigating into this world because you haven't always been obviously doing Hackergal. Maybe tell a little bit about how you came about that.
It's actually a really, I wish, like I told you, I wish it was like this aha moment where I'm like, oh my goodness, I knew I was going to start a charity at the age of 12 or 25 or whatever. That wasn't the case. My background, I worked in with startup companies in Waterloo, Ontario, which is a huge tech hub here in Canada, for a while, and I'm just instantly attracted to the energy that comes with technology and the startup scene. So I love that, but ultimately the goal personally was to move to Toronto, which AKA was the big city relative to Waterloo. So when I moved to Toronto, I worked at a venture capital firm, and that was really cool because it allowed me to see two totally opposite ends of the spectrum when it's like companies that are pitching for money versus investors giving money. So that was really interesting, and I think that's what kind of birthed my idea of Hackergal, because I was able to see so many amazing ideas come from technology and these amazingly smart people pitch their ideas. But I couldn't help but notice that there was a lack of women representation on in the founder side, in the CTO side. So that's really what got me to think, like, what can I personally do to empower or inspire more girls to be like, I can be the next Mark Zuckerberg, or I can, start the next Snapchat or whatever technology company you want to do, because we work with tech in every day. So that's kind of what led me to start Hackergal and to be like, what can I do to make impact happen?
I love that. It's a really interesting story too, I think, because back to when you were working for a venture capital firm and getting to be on the other side of things and hearing this, obviously, to a degree, I'm sure that was you were comfortable in the sense that, you knew what you're going to do every day, you knew every 2 weeks, like you had it figured out with, and then to make that leap into your own tech startup and a charity for that, because I know that comes with a lot of other avenues and responsibilities as well. That must have been a very big leap to initially take.
I was really nervous. I think that, I think when you have an idea and you just don't know what the end result will be, like you're taking a big risk. But I think where I was in my life, where, I was young and I was okay to take that risk. Like I don't have a family or have children or whatnot. So I was able to be like, you know what, let's chase what you want to do, like what makes your heart, sets your heart on fire, like, makes you so passionate or inspired when you talk about the things that you're doing at work. So ultimately, that's what really led me to be like, okay, let's just try this out and see where this goes. And I'm so happy I did. Like I mentioned to you, I wouldn't have met the people that I've met and worked with the people that I have worked with across the country if it wasn't for Hackergal and the work that we're doing with teachers that are like in Northern Ontario or Northern Canada, remote Canada, Indigenous communities that we work with. I've met amazing, inspiring people. So I'm so happy I took that leap.
That you took the leap,
It was scary, but ultimately I'm very happy. Like at the end of the day, I'm so happy I did.
And from your leap to Hackergal, we were as we spoke before, it wasn't initially like quit what you're doing now and start Hackergal. It was more of a, which I think is a really interesting way of kind of for anyone who is interested in starting their own business or looking to essentially start like a side hustle that could grow so quickly like yours did. Makes it a little bit more comfortable or easy, not easy, but more, less scary?
Less scary, yeah. So I started Hackergal as a passion project of mine. I was kind of doing it on the side and seeing where it would go. At the time I had no money either, like in terms of like funding Hackergal myself. But I just thought it was really cool, and it was a side project that made me really happy, I think, ultimately. Doing it along my full-time job allowed me to like kind of get a better understanding of what I wanted to do with Hackergal or where I was going with that idea without like fully quitting my job and having no money to survive in Toronto. So I did it for a couple of years as a side project, actually, before I took the leap of doing it full time. I didn't go full time until 2017, which was about 2 years ago. But yeah, I would totally recommend that route for someone that's like, you know, doesn't want to take that huge risk of like, you know, dropping it all, laying it on the ground and being like, I'm doing this. And yeah, I would totally recommend it. I think it really helped me kind of understand what this idea was and not feeling like I was going to lose it all at the same time.
Yeah, probably too that you had, to kind of add on to what you just said, like you had time you weren't rushing, you weren't like, I know if this doesn't generate or do what it needs to do by the end of the month, like I'm not going to have a place to live or anything like that. Like you could kind of take your time and get it right, essentially.
Exactly, and it's very specific with a charity as well, right? So we're not generating quote unquote revenue, obviously. So you can't really predict your numbers in that sense. So it's a totally different business model, but and that's why I think it's very helpful to do it like slow steps. But totally, it was great.
How did you, kind of going back to the charity aspect of it, as someone who didn't have prior experience in the charity world, how did you source out resources or people to kind of pick their brain or gather all this information regarding, you know, going to different businesses or companies to pitch for money or raising money? How was that process?
That's a great question, actually. I get that a lot because a lot of people are like, where do I even begin? And it's true because it's this huge world or realm of like what is needed, what is required. So I did start doing some digging myself in terms of like what does a charity mean versus a nonprofit? What does that mean for the Canadian landscape? But what was super helpful is that one of our initial supporters at the time was a law firm. So shout out to Vaskins. But they were super supportive in the work that we were doing, and they actually offered to help us with some of our legal work, and that really helped shape what that looks like for Hackergal and what we needed, like in terms of our application to the CRA or like things like that. But ultimately, I think with a charity or nonprofit, you just have to be very careful with the way that you generate revenue or create get sponsorship, I guess. But no, I think like we were just very fortunate enough to find companies that supported our mission and our values, and worked with them closely to be like, what do you want out of this, and how can Hackergal benefit from this, right? So it was really just a lot of networking and being able to find people that believe in what you're doing and believe in your mission, because that is super, super important. And with them having your back and really like, you know, talking about you and like, you know, giving you opportunities to talk about your program and whatnot, that was very meaningful for us.
It's so true. It's important not just to find obviously the money and the backers, but people, as you mentioned, who believe in what you're doing and can recognize you know, the purpose of it and whatnot. That's
people with influence. I think that's huge too, and that goes a long way versus sometimes money. So
isn't that true? So you were doing it on the side by yourself until 2017, right? And then 2017 you're like, I need to hire someone, this is growing. How was, for anyone, I guess, considering hiring their first employee or branching out, how was hiring your first employee, and was it kind of scary to give a little bit of your baby up in a sense?
Yeah, I think it was a point in my career where like, I'm doing this as a side thing. I love it. But then like when I was starting to see more business come out of it, or like teachers being like, I need help, that's when I was able to step back and recognize where I didn't have strengths. And one of the strengths was I'm not personally a teacher myself or come from an education background. My background is in business. So I recognized that that's where I needed to kind of fill the void with Hackergal. I did as much as I could, but now I need to bring someone onto the team that can actually support the education program. So when I recognized that, I was like, okay, I need to hire someone with an education background, but also knows business. Or is interested in business, because ultimately we are a business. So when I first found the first person I hired full time, it was like an aha, like the heavens like kind of opened, and I was like, yes, I have someone on the team. It signals growth to me. I wasn't just on my own trying to hustle this and like have people believe in me. I actually had someone that was like, I want to work for you, and I want to put my day-to-day like operations or my livelihood on your organization. I'm like, okay, we're going somewhere. So that was really exciting.
And now how many people?
We have 5 full-time staff and 3 part-time staff. So that's huge, and this was like in a matter of like 6 months, really, right? So but going back to what you said, like when I, hired my first full-time staff, I didn't think of it like, I'm giving up like a part of it. I can see where that is. It was more like, I'm excited to make this grow.
I like that. That's that's a way better mindset to have.
I can only do so much, and I'm excited to see where the next chapter of Hackergal will grow, get to with another person on board with me. It took a lot off my plate personally, and I was like, okay, I can focus on the things that I'm actually good at, and they can focus on the things that they're good at and what we need for the next chapter of Hackergal. So
that's amazing. And that was just over 2 years ago, right? Wow.
And we were a team of 2 for a while too before we got like the next round of funding for Hackergal, and that's when we were able to hire some more full-time staff. But
because I know now you are not just Toronto-based, but you're Canadian, like national-based. Did that occur? Did you start going more national once you hired the more employees the past 6 months, or when was the point you recognized that you needed to go?
I think we were able to be more strategic with our national growth when we had more full-time staff. We had staff to actually like support areas or communities that needed more support. Versus just being like, everybody do the program. Like we were able to tailor our program and customize our curriculum to communities that needed it with full-time staff. So we were able to be more strategic. Versus like a free-for-all.
No, that makes, and then another kind of along that, how did you decide grades 6 to 9 was the demographic, girls grades 6 to 9. You touched on obviously why girls, but why 6 to 9? What was the?
Initially, my thought process behind girls in grade 6 to 9 was that in Ontario, grade 10 is the first time students are allowed to choose computer science electives. So ideally, Hackergal would be able to spark their interest at an early age, an age where, like I personally believe, girls are easily being influenced by the things that are around them, the subjects that they're talking about in class, and then starting to slowly think about what they want to be when they grow up in a meaningful, intentional way. So the goal was to have our program in the classroom. Teachers are facilitating it and speaking about the opportunities in tech, starting from grade 6. They're able to kind of do our program year after year until grade 9. They graduate and become an ambassador of Hackergal. And ideally, they would choose the post-secondary electives and continue their journey into post-secondary.
And I'm sure you have so many stories of girls who have taken your course, your program through grade 6 to 9, and then because of solely what you're doing, your company's doing, continue on. That must be pretty.
It's freaking amazing. Like, is what I can say. I personally am a person that is very fulfilled by the impact that we make with our program, and talking to teachers and students and hearing about their experience with Hackergal and like how that has changed their mind in terms of what they think that they can be when they grow up.
I love that.
It's so inspiring to hear a girl at grade 6 be like, I never thought that I could code, or I never dreamed in a million years that I could be sitting in front of a computer creating my own app, or you know, thinking about the opportunities that I could possibly do at this age. Because it is a very male-dominated industry to begin with, a subject that's highly male-dominated as well. So yeah, the impact that I feel that we have on these students and their learning experience as a young child is so rewarding, because knowing that like if Hackergal could even do a small make a small imprint on their education, that's enough for me to be like, this program is worth it. And everything that we do for the organization is worth it.
That's amazing. And I know when you started it back in, was it 2015? Yeah, 2015. Yeah, it was a little bit, as we touched on at our coffee prior to this, it was just before the movement, like now, you know, women in tech is a big, or getting to be a big ball moving. There's a lot of talks about it and things coming out about it, that there needs to be more women in tech. But when you first started this, it was just on the cusp of that. Like it was almost, how was the initial response from people when you started it? Did people initially understand and be like, oh yeah, there is a need for this, or people kind of like, what are you doing?
So like you mentioned, when Hackergal kind of was like becoming a thing, women in tech was not nearly as huge as it is today, and like the resources and support that women have in tech right now have significantly advanced since 2015. But when the idea came up, I did, like, companies were on board. Like they were like, okay, this is a really cool concept. I can see where this is going. And it's a testament to where it is right now. So, you know, there's obviously still a lot of work that needs to be done, but the fact that people are talking about it and there's awareness around, you know, pay equity in the workforce, or like hiring more diverse workforces and stuff, I think that we've come a long way since, you know, 2015, mid-2000s. But yeah, I think it goes back to finding your initial supporters and having those companies like really actually believe in what you're doing, versus just saying like, oh, that's a cool concept. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to support organizations like Hackergal to move the dial, or to change the way that the future is going with education and the way that companies are hiring and making smart decisions for business. Yeah,
I love that. I could talk to you for hours and pick your brain. I think it's absolutely wonderful what you're doing, and just it's so inspiring and fascinating to me, your career switch, how you really just made that leap into this full force, essentially, even though it was part-time at first, but still just putting your time, your energy, your resources into it, and really seeing that this is something that needs to change, and how you've been impacting that, and it's very inspiring.
It's been fun. It's been a fun journey that I'm still learning so much. And one thing I can say is, like, I had no idea in a million years that I would be running a charity or starting my own charity. If you asked me when I was like in grade 6 or grade 9, I would have said I wanted to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company or something. So this is probably a good opposite of that. But it just goes to show that you really, like, every step of your career, or like what you're looking to do, really adds to where you'll ultimately be, I think. Like the experiences and who you meet and whatnot. It's been quite the journey. So.
I think that's so important too, that especially when, you know, even the girls that you're impacting from 6 to 9, it's one of those things where, for me, when I was in high school, I can remember thinking, the decision I make for what I go to school for, my first job, like, that's it. I have to go down this career path. But one thing with computer science and coding is, even if, you know, it sparks a ton of girls' interest and a lot of them go to computer science, and maybe some of them decide later on it's not what they want to do, but the skills you learn with coding and computer science and all of that, it's something that touches every industry.
Totally.
And, you know, you'll never look back and be like, oh, I wish I didn't learn coding. Like, it's something that, whether you're starting your own business, whether you're, whatever it is, it's a skill that touches everything.
Yeah, more so now than before, with like how much technology we have at our fingertips every single day. I feel like every industry will involve technology one way or the other. So I completely agree.
What do you see? Can you give us a little bit of insight as to what's next for Hackergal?
That is a big question, and that is, you know, I can list off my wish list of things that I would love for a Hackergal to be doing in 5 years, 10 years down the road. But I think in the future, we're looking to launch a scholarship program for the girls that we impact throughout Canada. So really empowering them to be like, you know, money is not an issue. Like if you are like passionate about coding and passionate about computer science, we'll help you get to where you want to be. That, so that's a huge like wish list item of mine in the next couple of years. And also providing internship opportunities for girls in companies, like you know, the largest tech companies. If we can make that happen, that'd be a great experience for girls. So a couple of things on
very
the wish
exciting
list.
things. Oh, I'm so excited to watch you know it continue to grow and touch so many people's lives. Essentially, thank you so much for coming and talking to me today. Yeah, I guess we'll end on, if anyone is interested in Hackergal or knows someone who should be, you know, looking into Hackergal, how can we best find you?
Yes, we're on social media at the Hackergals on Twitter and Instagram. You can also go to our website at hackergal.org and reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you, whether you're a teacher, a parent, a girl that's interested in code, or you just want to talk. I'm available.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucy.
Thanks, Tiff.